Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanam Paravindalaya Chakram Paramatam Samasitam Gurasundayam Kandam Kamokitamanyam Visheshashobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andaniya Swasakare Priyamri Vivanti Asyan Vivam Vitayami Viyamanti Anandam Maya Sadhu Dada Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Shri Radha Govinda ki. Lord, speak of our spiritual master, the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. Bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. For his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and attain the graces of Krishna. The only way to shall be consciousness purified by the words of living to his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus state is the perfection. all the earth.
You opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with knowledge. These my Lord, blessed words, unexpectedly my name,
Finding riches destroyed. The many scriptures seen in the sky clear. Our spiritual message, the ocean reversed, the friend of the poor, the Lord, Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter to lotus feet.
SrilaPrabhupada ki. Namaste,
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, would you like to lead Sri Guru Charanam Padma?
Sure.
Okay.
I want to mention these flowers. They have been planted by Ravanaksha Prabhu, and he told us the story about that when we saw him the last time. And they just flower.
These big white flowers.
Yes.
What they call lilies.
Why are these the lilies? He found them with Aravinda at the street side, and he was so happy to have them for the deities.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Shri Guru Charanam Padma Kevala Jati Sadhana
Shri Guru Charanam Padma Kevala Jati Sadhana
Mando Murisa Vandam Mate
Mando Murisa Vandam
Jaya Vishnu Paramahansa Purajapasita Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se Karo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sari Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Pranath Shama Kund Radha Kund Bhi Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Langamaya Munamaya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaura.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Kathleen, welcome. Ramachandra Prabhu, would you like to lead Jaya Radha Madhava? Okay.
Mom? Hello. Hey, Mom, Kathleen.
Good morning, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Hridastapur ki Jai, Prince Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Srinivasa Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Chama Kundarada Purnagiri Govardhan ki Jai, Shivadama Dham ki Jai, Mathura Dham ki Jai, Madhumai ki Jai, Gangamai ki Jai, Bhaktidev ki Jai, Tulsi ki Jai, Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai, Samavita Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, Jai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Go. All glories to the Samudvari, Hare. All glories to the Samudvari. All glories to the Samudvari. All glories to Shri Guru and Lord. All glories to Shri Prabhupada.
All right. Did you share screen? Well, I think so. Okay. Hare Krishna. I'm thinking today for our Shastra class and discussion, we can hear and watch a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. And I think we have this share screen function. So those online, yeah, I'm just not seeing the share screen function.
The green button.
Oh, the green button, there we go. Good. Yeah, the one that says share. That would do it, yeah. Okay, so I press that.
You need to choose
the video.
that you want to.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I'm going home.
Okay,
And
thank
I
you.
will join this conversation.
Great. Hari Bol. All right. So, okay, we're gonna try it. Let's see how it goes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm not finding the YouTube screen. I have Prabhupada on YouTube now. I'm going to go to Zoom. Because we can't do online or something. This one?
Just use this and the whole screen is shared. Double click, share. And then maximize.
There are subtitles.
His time of death arrived. At that time, he began to think of his son without any other thought. Similarly, our body is also like somebody feel it, somebody will. Krishna is like Jam. He wanted this kind of car or body. You see now, I think that is the object here. You forget. After ending the body, we forget what I desire and why I got this kind of body. But Krishna is situated within your heart. He does not forget. It is our purpose. He wanted this kind of body. Get it? Krishna is so bad. And somebody wanted the body so that he can eat every day. So Krishna is saying the body of a pig so that he can eat in food. And somebody wanted a body that I can dance with Krishna, then he gets that body. That you have to use inside. Whether we're trying to get a body, he will be able to dance with Krishna, to talk with Krishna, to play with Krishna, to get it. And if you want a body, how to eat food, eat, to get it. So we have to decide. As human form of that. But if you have no information that what kind of body you are going to get next, if you don't believe, you believe or not believe, then the nature now will act. If you say, I don't believe in the next life, you may say like that, but nature now will act. Karmana Devunastarena. As you are acting, according to that you are preparing the next one. So after that means when this body is finished, then you get another body. Immediate, because you have already made the killed one. What kind of body is there? So this man, Madhavi, was engaged in taking care of child. Very nice thing, that old Michael has done child. So, the masters. Therefore, we have been described as Mula. Here we say, Mula, Parayana Mula. We are forgetting that someday is coming, that is ahead. That is called Mrityu, death. We wonder. But this is our environment. So this man forgot that he was very busy as a excellent father or excellent husband. But in the life of so many greatness, as an excellent friend, or India, enemy, they are not up. They will tell you what this was. They are not up. Either it may be excellent or very different. So, in this way we are living, forgetting that death is ahead. Therefore, we are working, resting, let us know what is actual interest. That act is moralic act. The act does not know his own interest. We have seen the act is loaded with of my devotion man. And he cannot go and stay there, wait. And he does not know that I am loading so many tons of cloth on my back. And what he does that was, that a single cloth belongs to me. So the eye has been here for that. He's thinking it is like grow upon me so much further. It is like twice duty and because the waterman is to grass. So he has no sense. The grass I can get anywhere. Why I am taking this duty? This is the everyone acts about the duty, somebody is politician, somebody is outdoor, somebody is some. But because he has taken up some small duty and working hard for it, therefore he does have. He is forgetting his real business is that day will come. It is not about everyone says, ask your essence. But before that, I have to act in such a way that I may have the position can be put up and down, and I may have perfect sight to be strong. This is our real, but we do not know. That way, you have to go into Vishnu. We are in this constant state of life because we are separated from our original Krishna. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are forgot. We are thinking we are part and parcel of our this is called illusion. They are interested, somebody is interested in country, somebody is interested in society or family. Yeah, we have seen so many. Therefore, after that, the disaster full of know what it is actual self. But they need to talk to them, you know. Is hoping something to be never we are trying to adjust into this material world to become happy. But the rascal does not know that so long we remain in this material world, there is no option of happiness. That is it. Krishna said that this place is Dukharam Pasapadam. This material world where we are not living, and that you can change our body one after another. It is Dukharam. Why have to change my body? Why not? I am perfect. So I have to then you have to laugh. We have to be educated. Where we see God is from the perfect. And Krishna perfect, or the supreme perfect is giving. People are so unfortunate that we do not get the perfect knowledge. We come along, we speculate, we create our own idea that it is better so that do not. We are thinking actually, I should happen, this has never yet. This is perfect. Unless you go back to format. It's like a bad ball that's concept. This mother is this man, everything is there, but he has become easy. So, similarly, we are also like that. Our father is strong. We can be there very comfortable without any tolerance, without never running money. But we have decided that we will be here in this mission. This is God. They don't know. We do not know what is our son. And we are so being against. I said, we have to this way, I said, we have to this way. Therefore, you want to do move up that path. They do not know what is actually happening at this time. One chapter another, one chapter another. Now I have to react. Yes, sometimes the waterman sits on back and takes a bunch of grass and puts in front of gas. And gas wants to take his job. But as he's moving forward, the grass is moving forward. And he just one step forward, I can do that. But because he does not know that the grass is situated in such way that I will go on for millions of years, still I am not getting. Yeah. It does not come to sense that for millions of trillions of years I may try to be happy in this particular world. I will never. Therefore, you have to take knowledge from Guru to know, hey, that Guru is what is Jnana Purnam Dasya Jnana Salapaya. So, Purnam Tasmai Singha. The politicians are leaders. Allah will promise you that in this way you will go and I shall make heaven for you and when you become minister that is what you should do well. And as for that you become minister president I give you etc. So you select Mr. Nixon. And again you become the word. Then you declare to that exactly the God. I will accept other. But after that, you not getting right information in that way. This foolish man, they will come to something and is unable to make you happy. You get disappointed, very good. Then what is what form I have this right info? Then Lila says, but we cannot control the neighbor of your state. If you want that information, then go to the Guru. And this Guru, that is the remark to explain, that Amara and Guru Riya Sarasa. He said, just because on my own. Who means who carries the honor of Krishna. Krishna Mahaprabhu is Krishna. Or is Krishna talent. That is good. Nobody can become good unless he carries the honor of Krishna. Therefore, he finds because everyone of us can. We do not know what is our self-interest. And somebody can plan to how we become Guru, plan, self-perfected. I don't require to need any Guru. I have come to place you. Who is that care? They do not know how we can become Guru. If he does not follow this Shastra or the Supreme Authority Krishna, how we can become? But they accept. So this kind of Guru is going. But you should know, Guru means who carries the honor of this Institute. Any doctor who manufactures the idea is not to he is the king of immediate. That is the rest of the Guru. Guru is here. rules have been up for very good. So you have to control them. How you control have been up for? If you say no, I am not. Anyone says anything. You have got to teach us. The taste is there. That Guru means that you have that problem. Simple. Not divide that is very good. So giving knowledge is his head. That's not the God. If you want to know the sign of this God, copy that. So Guru may well say, you must have to do. And you should prove with the textbooks have been. This is without Guru, if he manufacturing his way of life, then you will not. That's what he said. More. You are saying, so I will select I'm taking care of my son, little son. With all respect, I'm giving him and blessing him. So I'm very thankful with modest father. But after that, there is a law. To see him. Say, Ojan, Paran, Mura, white Mura. Not without Adam of the moon. He does not say, does not know that behind me the death is there. Yes, now, how your affection for your so-called son and society and family and nature will save you in death. That is correct. You cannot answer. So we tell you we get. That is human. We must always know that there is death behind. At any moment you can catch them like death and that's a fact. Is there any guarantee that you shall live under you? No. Even just after you say that, you will go to this state and immediately with there will be heart failure, there will be motor accident, there will be something. So, to live is murder. To die is murder. Because you are meant for death. As soon as you put your path, immediately you leave that. This is very bad. When the child is born, you say in one way. That means he has died once. We are taking that is living one, but actually he has died once. That is wonderful. That is still living, he has not died. So, death is not wonder. It is be sure. It is not. After 5 weeks or after 100 years. That is not wonder. So long you live, that is one. So we need to like time to make solution of life that we are immediately dying and again accepting another body. So how do you understand? Unless it comes to the proper group. Therefore, after that, from the Jnana comes. If you want to know the real problem of the life, and if you want to get that, how to become Mr. Master, how to become Jnana, go back to home, back to God, then you must have to do. If you do good, that is the best. Guru never manufacture that. That is do this, and give me money, and give me something. That's right. That is another samadhi. So, yes, when you say, Mula, everyone who is simply said, this is my duty, somebody. You must know what is your duty from you. You are seeing every day. Guru Mukha Mokha Vatko Chistete Kuriya Arana. This is that. This is that. Guru Mukha, he will accept the bona fide Guru and what he orders to carry out. Then your life is accepted. You will ask him, you do not desire anything. But I am not saying them, but you understand meaning. How we are saying? What is the meaning? Who is it? Nobody knows? Yes,
my only wish is that my life be purified by the words that are not as Krishna Master. That no other desire to be
yes, this is God. Guru Mukha Mokha Vatko Chistete Kuriya. Now becoming conscious that I can do this, but thank you, my Lord. I Chistete Kuriya I'm not doing it. So, it is not my pride, but I can say for you respect, I did. Therefore, whatever is success you see, that my all my God will do. I don't that. But I took it to war from my guru and like it. So it is bad. Guru Mukha Vatko Vatko. Everyone should do that. But if you make satisfaction all that is that. No, I cannot. Therefore, approach Guru to remain the best servant of God, Krishna, and take his word out service when you are successful. If you hold God, I am very intelligent, that's my Guru. I can make additional service. You have got the opportunity of chanting the holy name. This is the God. That's what I want to share in name. But because every name is meant for becoming a servant of God. So that I open the name, power. So you got open to that. That name is taken back out. So that is the expense. So here also it is said, the first part it says Mura, and the second part also it is said, Sai Ram Vartamana of your itself. Mura means that Alpha means ignorant. There is no knowledge. More is one with knowledge. Of God, there is no knowledge. So everyone is the material part. In Mura of God, he does not get that I have to be dead, whether it will be his or my friends or my, as I said, he does not go. No, but it doesn't get outside. Therefore, everyone is Mura and of God, and then in the light of the day has come, Muslim Jatara from any body, Narayana, he is experiencing now at time that here, still, that he is thinking of the child. So, the one okay, but here, certain child is taking Nara, now his position is defined, but he has similarly affected Similarly, I select my job, then what is my position? Naturally, I think of my job, and immediately I generate the other body. That is not this is nature. Janama Paranaki Sajata Deva. At the time death will be at the time of death. What kind of body you are going to get? So Janama is for our power. They just like he pretty much connect with his son in thinking of the son. Similarly, he do very much connect your dog or something else. You think at that time, therefore, practice Hare Krishna, so that at the time of death, you can think of Krishna and your life. When you
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes. Or would anyone like to share any comments, experiences, ask any questions? We just that was a lecture from Prabhupada. 6th canto of Bhagavatam, 1st chapter. It was in Philadelphia. I didn't notice the year. I know he was in Philadelphia in 75. Maybe it was there. Maybe it was early in the 70s. So Bhagavatam 6th canto, the pastime of Ajamil and his son Narayan. Any comments or questions?
I wanted to share.
Yes, Kathleen.
Yeah, I just felt like that was like one of the more important teachings that you could ever hear. Like our consciousness determines our next body, and it's up to us, like, to have a certain consciousness in order to determine what's next.
Thank you, Kathleen. I like how you said that. One of the most important teachings we could ever hear. Simple and sublime. Prabhupada emphasizes that we choose our consciousness and that will determine our next body. And he's just giving it as it is and encouraging us to be responsible. He said, yeah, you can choose a consciousness where your next body will be a pig eating stool. You can choose a consciousness where your next body will be a spiritual body dancing with Krishna. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate your sharing. Hare Krishna. Thanks. Any other comments or questions? Yes, in just a few short minutes, Prabhupada, he just really described things as they are, described our entanglement on the machine of material energy and the process for liberating ourselves eternally from the machine of material energy. He just described it very succinctly, powerfully, amazing.
Yeah, and so when he was saying, yeah, if you like to eat everything, you can come back as a pig. And I was like, oh no. So it was like a healthy alert.
Okay, yeah, we get to see ourselves in the mirror of Prabhupada's words. Yeah, well, a word for a true guru is sadhu. Sadhu means to cut. Means he cuts through our illusion, cuts through our false conceptions, false ego, and just reveals to ourselves the truth, distinguishing reality from illusion. Ananta.
Yeah, when Prabhupada said in the end that we need to cultivate like practicing Hare Krishna, I really realized the urgency of doing that.
Yeah.
Because then when he was describing about our consciousness in the time of death, how important it is like to think about Krishna and not like anything else we're attached to. And on Sunday I had an experience. I'm still thinking at that. We were at the springs and there was like a spider web in between two trees, and there was like a huge spider in the net, and I directly went through. I did not see it, but like I totally freaked out and panicked, and the net was on my glasses, so I threw my glasses away, and then actually I could not see anything because I cannot see without my glasses, and I felt so helpless and kind of lost in that situation. And I had Damodar with me, so I was like, where are my glasses? Bring me my glasses. And they are transparent, so we could not see them. And then afterwards I was thinking like, oh my God, if like I go through a spider web and like a spider makes me freak out like that, how will I be able to control my mind at the time of death?
Thanks for sharing that story where you panicked and you saw you had a little test.
Yeah.
Krishna, the universe, gave you a little test of a spider web and a spider, and you noticed you didn't just naturally go to Krishna, Krishna. You were just in fear and darkness, and so you get to look at your score on the test, and you're moving through that, and through this lecture from Srila Prabhupada, moving to urgency,
Yeah.
I appreciate your sharing. Thank you, Ananta Shakti. Bharat.
Yeah, I found it amazing. I find it amazing how Prabhupada is so truthful and bold and direct, and still he's saying it very palatable and nice. And sometimes he's speaking about the Buddha, and then suddenly he's including everyone and saying we.
Yeah, he's including himself. Yeah.
He's including himself, so it's acceptable for everyone, and then he's speaking to them. So I was wondering, I'm curious, what is his mood? What did happen around these days, or what are the people experiencing that are there? When Ananta was, and I was feeling addressed because he says, Ajami just forgot, and he saws he's a caring father, and
yes,
that's the same illusion
you were seeing yourself.
I like.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering and reflecting for myself, what is the thing that I'm most attached to right now?
Yeah.
If I would die now,
what is it in the material world that you're most attached to?
Yeah, and what also comes to my mind is with the kids. I was in the past much more absorbed in thinking, how can I engage them in a playful way in something around Krishna? And now, like the last 1-2 years, it's so much shifting. Before it was much easier when they in the age of your kids. But I'm feeling very happy to remember, and I'm wrestling and fighting with them, and they want me to be wild with them, and I didn't want to do that just to be on the level of a friend with them, or so. What I'm doing, and since years we established that, as they get harder, sometimes I let them win a little bit, but then I'm the demon, the monster, and I'm frightening them, and they can only stop me when they chant. We said that is our stop.
Okay.
If we need a stop sign, and I thought that's the best thing to do. And now they are habituated when there's some dangerous things going on, they chant.
Chant Hare Krishna.
And I wish I could train that to myself.
Nice. That's clever transcendental parenting techniques. An aspect of the class, because like you point out, in Prabhupada's humility, when he's talking about mudas and asses, he included himself. That's his humility. We all are attached to a material machine, and we're thinking that just around the corner there's happiness. He gave the very graphic description of the ass following the carrot on the stick, so to speak. And then, in all humility, Prabhupada, he said, I forget the exact words he used, but he said he wasn't trying to aggrandize himself. He was talking about the principle of, okay, so the way out, the way for liberation is find a bona fide guru and follow. Okay? And he made the distinction between bona fide guru and so much cheating going on in the name of guru. And then he said, and I can say, I did it. I did it. And I just saw that so powerful and humble. And it wasn't about him. It was about this is the process. And he did compare himself, compare 10 of my godbrothers. I just took the instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, a bona fide guru, and I just completely devoted my life there. He goes, I did it. And you can do it too. That struck my heart there. I did it. And he did. If we look at his life, there was no fooling around, no playing around, just neha bikramanasaste vyasayatmakya buddhi ekeha krunandana. Just single point, I'm just following the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta. That's Prabhupada's way. So that's it. That's his potency. You can say he did it. Hare Krishna.
I was thinking in terms of choosing our consciousness.
Yeah.
Before death, while living. What is the extent of our freedom in choosing our consciousness? Because we know from the Bhagavad Gita that the consciousness is a result of our association.
Yeah.
Starting from the material modes, the bodies that we associate with. So
yeah, or associating with our own mind,
karma, things. So where is that? How we can actually choose the consciousness if it's so much determined by external
right
things.
Well, I appreciate that discussion. So that there's the example in the second canto of Maharaj Khatbanga. In one moment, he just completely chose Krishna consciousness. One moment. And there's a pretty well-known video lecture from Srila Prabhupada in Australia, and he was asked, how long does it take to be Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, how long? And Prabhupada said, 1 moment. 1 moment. So philosophically, it's very important to realize and accept this point. And to realize and accept it, we won't settle for cheap, lame excuses. That, okay, whatever my karma, sometimes in our courses or coach training, we use the example like in sociology, there's the different debate, nature and nurture. Why are we like we are? And some say, because of our DNA, our physiological nature. Some say it's nurture, the way we were raised by the parents and the school system. We can reduce it to nurture means my parents did it to me. Nature means my grandparents did it to me. Okay. So essentially, in Bhagavad Gita philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam philosophy, whatever our nature and nurture has been, in one moment, we can fully surrender, full Krishna consciousness, however my mother treated me, or the bully in school, or whatever my ancestry, or whatever the genes or the DNA, or that my mind's been in material existence for 40 trillion lifetimes. In one moment, we can choose complete Krishna consciousness and dance with Krishna. So that's important to realize philosophically, that that's a truth. Devotional service, pure devotional service, there's no material obstacle. There's no ahetuki. There's no material reason. Nothing material can get in the way. Whatever the nature, whatever our nurture, nothing material can get in the way. So that's a philosophical truth. Practically speaking, for almost all of us, as Krishna says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, gradually, step by step, it's a gradual process. Meaning that if we notice that, well, I've heard so much, I've had so many trillions of moments, and I'm not fully surrendered, I'm far from it. Okay, so the idea is not to become harsh with ourselves, but to accept that that is possible. And also to accept, I'm not that sincere or serious to just cut through all the material karma bondage. We were talking just the other day, I think towards the end of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that by this devotional service, when we're fully choosing 100% in the fire of devotional service, all the karma, that which is manifest, that's within seed for, is just burnt to ashes. So that's the same point. Okay, so we might find that, well, it's not that, well, I can't surrender fully because I grew up in a meat-eating family. I can't surrender fully because I don't have the proper association. It's all nonsense. That's just all nonsense. It's just lame excuses. Still, the point is not to become harsh and to wallow in guilt and like that, just to accept I'm not that sincere. And so for most all of us, it's a gradual process. And we progress and accelerate in that gradual process through quality association, hearing from Srila Prabhupada, discussing with others who have at least some sparks of sincerity on the path, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra Japa, distributing Prabhupada's books, the whole process. And then, there's the 9-step process, and Ao Shara Tata Sadhu Sangato Bhajana Kriya, and gradually we cleanse we pull the weeds from the garden of the heart, we have some steadiness, get some taste, transfer our attraction from material gratification to hearing Bhagavatam. So that's my understanding.
That was been recorded, thank you.
We have it recorded.
Okay. Yeah. It's recorded.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think I didn't have the handheld recorder, but we do have Zoom recording, so it should work. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ramachandra.
I think I'm enjoying hearing that, even though I've heard you say things like that in my coaching sessions or in Sabato, and I'm just going through my 2-year process in my head and thinking how when I first heard this, it just felt so much that I was covered up that I didn't seem attainable. And the whole DNA thing used to really bother me because I used to think I was mad at my parents because I thought I was stuck with what they'd given me, and I was like, why did I get these parents? Because I feel like inside me there was something that was like, there's something better, but you got that DNA. And so I hung on to that for a long time. I still have some of it. I still had a run-in with my father this weekend. I still feel that tinge of like resentment, but it's this slow thing versus my impatient self. And so I really enjoyed this. And then when you and I met last time, David, and you said something to me that was just really, and it really just kind of had another little shift towards really understanding all this, is that like, well, okay, so you're not really committed. Right. Because it's easy for me to commit to other things in life and be full on, like I said I would be there, I said I would do this, and yet with this there's something like, well, I'm tainted, I've got those parents, I'm too old, and all this stuff comes up. And so then it's just like I want that momentary, like you were talking about, they're swishing through the middle of it and parting the ways and going, okay, the moment, like
I'm eternally committed.
I want that kind of transition. And so because it can happen, I read about it. And so, but then I go back to, well, you're this, and so it's like, and so learning, I think, to be patient with myself and make the mistakes and falter and whatever, but to still keep that path in mind. So when you said the other day, and like you were reflecting me, so you weren't saying, hey, Leah, you're not committed. I was spilling it out. And
I was reflecting what I saw you were saying.
You reflected me perfectly, and I was like, well, gosh, what is the problem with being committed to this beautiful thing when you can be committed to going to the gym every day or whatever? It's way more satisfying. And so I was at the gym yesterday, and I was standing up in the balcony looking around at all the people doing this, their things.
On the machines there.
Yeah. And it was like, it felt so, like I could, if I had let myself, I could have shed some tears up there on the balcony and just, I felt a vulnerable shift just because I could see it all around.
Yes.
And yeah, it was very surreal. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I just went to look over and see what everybody was doing down there, because I was taking Lucy, and I know where she was. And then it was like almost seeing things from above about how we are about our bodies and how all the different kinds of bodies. And
you had a view from the mountaintop, so to speak.
Yeah, and it was like, I just want to go home and just shed all this stuff and just surrender. And then, as soon as I go out to the parking lot and get back into the real world, here it comes again, all the attachment.
All the attachments.
But there's enough shift each time I have one of those little realizations to, and then but I like how you were summarizing it, because it's like, and I do this every time I come to a lecture or any kind of tune in on Zoom. It's like another little piece starts to make sense, and it doesn't feel so. I think that's for other people, or I'll tag along in the back, but I can't really be in the front row because
you own it, it, and integrate it.
Yeah,
maybe another 0.5%.
Yeah, just saying, well, how committed am I? And that was a really good reflection, because I think 100 times since you said it, I make a choice, the choice to be conscious and choice to be clear with myself. And I actually added committed to my contract, and so I could really put myself there every day and go, wait, okay. And so with becoming clear and committed, and accepting the patient that I'm not the momentary. Right now, I mean, maybe things could change, but right now I'm still got the whole resentment thing going on. But the releasing of carrying the self-judgment is quicker, and it's like even just listening to Prabhupada's lecture here, like, not too long ago, I would get frustrated because I just couldn't understand enough of it to make it worth sitting there for 30 minutes. And And then today it was beautiful. It was like he was here, and I understood, and like I just really appreciate. I appreciate the fact that I have all you guys in my association. I appreciate this is offered for me to slowly move through this. I appreciate that it's accessible, and that the way that that you coach us outside of this temple room, and to just see ourselves, so that because like Chana just said, the consciousness, I thought that I got one and that was mine, and I just remember in South Toby, coaching with that group and going, well, we can actually change our consciousness. Like it somehow felt like that I was assigned that one, and it was all foggy and all over the place, and so that's just who I was forever. And I was stuck with it, and I now see that I'm responsible for my commitment is how I'm going to change it. So if I really want to change it, I can. There's a million opportunities all day to shift it millimeters, and then it adds up faster and faster as it's exponential. It's not. It doesn't go backwards. For me, it doesn't. It keeps building, and so. I just, I guess I'm really connected to the summary that you just gave, because I'm like, yeah, that I'm experiencing that myself. I'm experiencing like the real shift in consciousness, and lo and behold, it is possible. And even for someone that was, 55 years old and very conditioned and thought DNA had made my choice for me.
You're directly experiencing the transformation of consciousness through this process. I'm inspired by your sharing, Leah, sharing your own gradual yet tangible process. Yeah, like there in the gym on the balcony, you had some real realization. And then you go out in the parking lot and it's all lost, but it's not all lost. Because you can look, if you look at yourself compared to 2 years ago, or to speak of 3 years ago, wow, there's so much transformation of consciousness. Yeah, and because we're still choosing to be influenced by the modes of nature, therefore our progress tends to be maybe, like a sine curve, but we say, oh, the direction is definitely up, because we're receiving association, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're following Prabhupada, we're actually changing, and that's so joyful.
Yeah, but just like Rod said, it's like I wish I could be like your children, and it's still I freak out like Ananta does sometimes too, and I totally lose it, and then I think, you getting this? Like what's, and the judgment comes for a second, but I love that it comes back around pretty quickly. I was thinking when I drove home yesterday from the gym, I could see that I was going to go home and prasadam, and I was going to offer the food, and I wasn't going to feel fearful of what that looked like to someone who's not used to it. And then I watched the movie that Kathleen talked about in the program the other night, and I was a little bit nervous about whether, my new, I'm responsible for this young person who's only 16, and so I was like, is she gonna, and I got a little nervous and afraid to be all the way committed to that, what I wanted to do last night, and so I asked her, and she sat through it with me, and we talked about the principles of the movie, and it wasn't, my mind just wanted to say so much other stuff how it's going to turn out, and I just kept going back to, well, you don't know that, like that's just chatter, So thanks, Kathleen, for suggesting that. It was nice not to go into, I don't really watch too much TV, but movies, but that was fresh, and I felt like for a young person, they kind of like to watch something on screen, so we plugged it in and got it set up, and and actually sat through it, even though it's subtitled. It was a powerful way to end the day after wanting some more surrender from what I thought would do. It's nice to be able to say this out loud because it always helps me to kind of sort my thoughts out too, to share it with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Thanks for sharing your process of surrender. SrilaPrabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Hare Krishna.